Hi, today we're doing the Turkish Get Up and a couple variations that I innovated myself. I think they're pretty cool. I've seen other people do similar, but one of the cool things about all the stuff you can do with kettlebells is you can make it your own. That's why I call my style freestyle. I encourage people to experiment, learn some principles and experiment. So I'm going to demonstrate the main technique first, and then I'll explain as we go. So just reference, this is a 35-pound kettlebell I'm using. So I'm going to start off with my shoulders pretty square and driving towards my hip. I'm not like, and my neck is just like I'm standing up. It's right in line with my spine. Use that other hand to help pull over. Press, leg goes up, kick that hip out. Now let the bell move to your center line a little bit more as you pop up. I started to explain as I went. When you're doing it, it's really important to stay focused. I'm going to grab a little lighter bell and explain a little bit more. A lot more, actually. So this is a demonstration bell. It's just 4 kilograms. So as I started, I'll show you some different angles too, but maybe this one's the best way. So some people like to start like this, but I like to start this way. Okay. Now, you see my shoulder is like creeping up towards my ear, and my head is also like tilted up this way. I'm trying to like look at myself also. But drive that hip towards your hip. Drive your shoulder towards your hip. Okay. Make sure it's tucked under there good. See? Just like if I have my head on top of my neck, it's all in a straight line. I don't want to be scrunched up. That's a key point. Okay. So then use the other hand to help pull. As you get heavier, you'll see why. You don't want to like just, like with this weight, it's not a big deal, but you start getting into heavier maximum weights for the lift, and you can torque your shoulder. So use it so now you're using all your body weight to pull the weight up to this position. My left leg makes a little bit of room. I press up. You could even use your other hand to help you press up, but typically just press up. Now this hand is at a 45-degree angle, okay? So my hand is not towards this wall, and it's not towards the wall by my feet either. It's not facing that. It's just right in between. Maybe yours is a little bit different, but find where it fits comfortably. But if that bell comes down, if something bad happens and the bell comes down, it's not going to hit me. Whereas if I have my palm towards that wall and something happens and the bell comes down, it'll hit my face. So 45-degree angle for your hand is a good place to start. Now, something I haven't heard anybody else say is let that bell drift towards the center line. Okay, you see how my arm is moving a little bit? So before you start, let it creep this way a little bit. Okay, yeah, I didn't want to be in the way of my leg. You're going to have your leg up. I didn't want to be in the way of my leg. But this is what your arm's going to do. Okay, so this leg comes up. And then with that bell, creep towards your center line as you drive into the ground with your left elbow. So it creeps. Now I'm driving both of my shoulders to my hips. Okay, so you don't want to do this. Oh, let's see. So you don't want to like do this. You want to make sure your shoulder that's on the ground is really driving towards your hip and back, and your the one holding the bell is your lat is contracted also, keeping it from like going up. Like you want to keep your shoulders away from your ears the whole time. Then you go up to your palm and make sure you externally rotate in your left arm. See? So I'm trying to turn my elbow to the outside. And you have your choice of doing bridge. I'll show you the alternative in a minute. So once you're here, you're taking your, so from the bridge, you're taking your knee towards your wrist. Okay, you're looking at this top belt, you're looking at the belt the whole time. Then you're dropping your hips toward your heel as you pop up. There's options, but I like to take this, my right leg now, and just put it in front for the lunging position and stand. Okay. Step back with the left. So once you're standing, make sure your arm is vertical. Like you don't want to be like this, or so. Back with your left leg. Left knee lightly touches. This right leg is going to swing out. Can you see that? So I was here, stepping back, down. This right knee swings out. Look back at the bell, slide down your leg, whatever. Just make sure you end up in front of your knee. A common mistake is to go out to the side. Okay, don't do that. Heel, tailbone to your heel at the same time you're touching in front of your knee. Really externally rotate in your shoulder. I'll take my shirt off in a second and see better. Then I'm making sure my right knee is going out, externally rotating also. And then when I go here, I'm pushing towards that hip. I'm sorry, pushing my hips towards my heel. Back to the elbow, and I'm keeping that elbow, my shoulder down towards my hip again. And then push away with your elbow, come down, lower the bell. Sure, it never lasts long. So I'll show you from a little, yes, I think is okay. So you have the bell. And if you want to do it more like this way, some people show that way. I like to be more rigid. So use your body weight to pull the bell up. That one bell, your left leg comes out. Even here, I'm driving my shoulders to my hips. Make sure my grip is right at that 45-degree angle. Press up. Right foot comes up to the floor. Then let your bell drift towards your center as you then drive hard into the ground with your left elbow, and you're rising up. And make sure you get to the next position with both of your shoulders packed, externally rotated, left especially, and driving the right shoulder down with the lats also. So from here, we'll start from this way. I think you can see better. Here. Make sure you hike that hip over to the side a little bit. Bell drifts towards the center. Everything's rigid in the shoulder. Now, you'll see this knee came in a bit. So watch it in just a second. So I'm going to go up to my palm. And really, I'm exaggerating this bad position here because you want to be here. You want to really externally rotate hard in the left shoulder. Stay looking at the bell. Raise up. Knee to wrist. Tailbone to heel as you're coming up. Take the right leg to a good lunge position and then up. Let's go back. Left touch. That one comes out. Right in front of the knee. Make sure at every stopping point you're really driving those shoulders back. Okay, if you see me do this, that's not what you're supposed to do. So I'm exaggerating the bad position so then I can show you the good position. Okay, from here. Now watch when I go to do this, to sweep back, I'm going to push my heel. Did it again, push my hips towards my heel. Okay, so you see my shoulder position is the same. Down. And then my left elbow is going to push away. I'm not just going to like collapse into it. I'm going to push away with my left elbow. Okay. So this is a really tremendous stability endurance. So I talk about the 5 elements: mobility, stability, strength, power, and endurance. And so you're holding your shoulder, your arm in this stable position through this range of motion that varies. Okay, so you're going from like in front of the chest, here to up. You know, it's moving around, but you're working on that stability the whole time, keeping your shoulders packed. So one more time. Let's go give me this thing a little bigger. So what you also may see, I'll show you this variation here. So you can see this sometimes, and then your knee is already up, but it doesn't matter. And then I want to make sure I kick that hip up so I can get my, there's a little room here. Okay, I'm on my left hip just a little bit. Okay, each point you want to check with your shoulders. Are they in the right position? This time I'm not going to give you any bad example. I'm going to do it correct the whole time. Turn this way. So another thing you might see people do is they call it the windshield wiper. So from here, they'll just move this leg in. You can do that too. Depends on the surface. So that's not a big deal. I'm on a jiu-jitsu mat, but it depends on your surface, depends on your knee. You can just do right leg back out, down, check in with your shoulder. Each one you're like posing for a picture, right? There's no rush. And then from here, tailbone to the heel. Each one you just land right in a good spot. Push away. There's no rush on these at all. And there's some variations, but that's the main thing usually when people talk about the Turkish Get Up. Now I'm going to show you another version of it. These are 35-pound kettlebells I'll be using. Just like for reference, I mean, these aren't like max weights or anything to see how I get the right angle here. So this way. So this way you'll start off, the first bell is in the same spot. Okay, I know you can't see it, but you'll see why I'm at this angle in a minute. And this second bell is just outside of your hip. And the handle is facing sideways. So you can you're not going to stick your hand through it like that, but I'm just showing you in case you can't see the handle. So I'll demonstrate first and then I'll explain. So when I first started doing this one, I was calling it the hitcher. This was a long time ago. Because it was like the second bell was just like hitching a ride. And like the first, I was doing a lot of these one bell get ups. And it's like this, what are you doing with the other arm, And so I just kind of had the idea of like this other bell, kind of like a hitchhiker and keeping the other bell company on the way. So it's the same basic thing, except for when you're here, so your bell placement is key because you can't look down to start looking for it. So it has to be in the right spot to begin with, which I found is just right by my hip. Because that way when you get to, it's not in your way, you just barely clear it here, and then you can get a hold of it. So now, I was talking about the windshield wiper earlier. You can do that way and grab it back up. See? Okay. Mostly lately I've been doing this one, which puts it to the inside, which is okay. It's a good spot to, either way, that bell is in the right spot. I'm hitting the bell behind me. So, again, this is probably the best angle for you, isn't it? So just outside, I can fit my arm in between. So somewhere around in there, because you need room to clear that knee. This other one starts in the same place. Hear me like breathe a couple times in between each position. So like inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So this isn't hard, but I'm just trying to exaggerate the breathing so you can hear it. Nice and steady. Kick that other bell up. And there's different ways to drop the bell from here, but you can kind of like go into this right heel out, kind of a double windmill sort of thing. Go back up. And then always, so here the bell's in front of that leg. I want to step to the side of it. Okay. You don't have to worry about stopping and starting and stopping in the same position. You may move around a little bit. You may find the right spot for the kettlebell. Right by that hip is going to be about an arm's width away. Is it going to be about right? Probably. So this one, so I started out calling it the hitcher. And then I switched it to enlightenment. If you look up like winter enlightenment on YouTube, you can see me doing it like barefoot, shorts, in the snow, like 9 years ago or so. And enlightenment, because like once I started doing it, it just felt like everything was lighting up. So like the whole neuromuscular system, the brain, like so much concentration, especially of course when you're doing more weight. It's but don't worry about like push yourself, do more weight, but always just strive for the beauty of the technique. Okay, don't be using super light kettlebells just to, that drives me bonkers too. Use what's right. Use what's right for you. I think that's a really cool one. So key point on the kip of it, and I've covered this in another video also as part of the two hands anyhow. That video is called like martial and yogic and martial power. I covered the two hands anyhow, and I have a similar, it's almost the same thing once you get to that part of the lift. It's from a two hands anyhow instead of a get up, but this is kind of a two hands anyhow get up. So once you're here, and you're starting to kind of come back, pick that bell up on the way. So don't get up and then like look down for it, go back down for it. You're here, you just like, so I'm kind of just feeling that side of the bell. Maybe I need to rest on it for a second. Probably don't, but try to make it one smooth motion to coming up. Then adjust the leg. It'll need to be in front of your leg. Okay. So if it's on the outside of it, I mean, you can still do it. But so once you're here, you may want to do the windshield wiper technique, or like I said, like once I'm here, I like to just move that leg. Okay. So. Okay. You might not be moving that leg at the same time as you're lifting the bell, because you don't want to be like doing that really. You can, but you want to make sure it's steady. So you're coming up, grab. Now this bell is in front of my knee, so then when I'm powering forward, I can just use it to lift. Up. Twist the feet, lower, step to the side. Okay. Let's pretty cool one. And so typically I happen to be using just the same size bells, just I'm trying to demonstrate and not be doing like workout weights. But you can start with, you can use different size bells, of course, just like pretty much with everything. So your first one will probably be heavier, and then your second one lighter, obviously. But you can switch it up too. You can start with use what you have and play around with it. Just really focus on proper technique each time. Let me show you one more variation. Let's make sure I do it the right way. I kind of have a little bit messed up knee. It's not too bad. Not from lifting, it's from martial arts stuff. But I did it as a practicing one a little bit ago, and my knee didn't like it. But I did it the other way, and it's okay. So, anyways, I think I'll do this thing. This is as good as anything. So this time, both kettlebells are starting this way. Okay. So put your hands underhand and grab them just like you're going to curl, because you're going to curl. So I'm still driving my shoulders to my hips. Okay, I don't want to be up here. Drive the shoulders to the hips. Curl the weights up. Okay. So this first part, you're curling the bells up. You're holding here. So you inhale. Inhale. As you're coming up, let's see if I can do it slow. As you're coming up, the bells are coming down. Or they're actually pretty much staying right where they were. Okay, so look at my hands. I know they're moving some, but just think about how high they are. Look at how high they are. Okay, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. That's not the point. But it's like a descending press. Like you're lowering them from a press at the same time. Okay, driving your feet. Like I've seen other people like kick to get up. Like I've seen people do that, and I'm not saying I'm the first one to ever do it this way, but before this, I never saw anybody do it before I did it. So one more time. Okay, so you go back to turn your palms up. Okay. So I can't really demonstrate going this other way. This knee can't handle the torque at the moment. So if it does feel weird to you, don't worry about it. There's some other ways of doing these. There's a lot of variations, but so we're working on several things going. Like like just think like that, like, so muscles over here, like glute medius, and there's some other stuff going on. But instead of like trying to think, you can like figure out all the muscles and stuff, but you just think like the movement. So as you're kind of coming forward, like you'll come forward and that knee really presses into the ground. So maybe if you're having trouble with it, just do it without weight. Okay, and it's probably normal to have like some spine flexion in here. So if you're flexion intolerant, maybe this isn't the one for you, but work with the weight that's appropriate. I think it's a really cool one. We'll go demonstrate this way. Turn the palms in. Instead of letting them come out to the side, you can do that, but basically, instead of coming out this way to drop them, turn your palms towards you, again, to just basically uncurl them. So I think there's aesthetic reasons for that. There's, you don't want to like torque your shoulder. You should be fine in that range of motion. If you do let it out, you're probably going to be fine. It's not, super crazy to be here and like, that's not extreme, right? But part of my thinking when I was creating these, and I did some more than this, but I was thinking of more like a kata, like kind of like a martial art kata. And I was putting them together. And there was like breathing methods in between. And that pretty much covers it. I can, I can't really like demonstrate the whole thing because it's got to take care of the knee. But so how would you like program these in? You basically think of them as practice. So maybe you're doing 10 each side. So if you have two, I just happen to be using two of the same weight bell here. If you have two that are different, just even out, maybe like 10 each side, like 10 total. If you're doing 10 of the one arm, do 10 other arm. If you're doing these all in a workout, maybe set the timer for a half hour and don't think like, oh, I'm going to do as many as I can in a half hour. Just do them for a half hour. Okay, make it even and try to keep every point in mind. So every step just gets better. So that's the whole idea, and you build a strength endurance, what I would call a stability endurance, because you're keeping things stable over a long period of time. So the elements, 5 elements are mobility, stability, strength, power, and endurance. So there's all of that in here. So you see where the power comes from? Okay, so like you're doing the one arm, Okay, this is pretty slow. Might have a shot here. So this is pretty slow. I still have to be like, keep my right tension. Press. So here's where the power is. It's in this arm here. And my abs a bit. And so here, okay. That's where the power is there. And then your power here is like it's explosive. So try those out. See what you think. If you have questions, send me a message. I'll demonstrate each of them again. First one. In the shot here. Make sure. Let it drift over. My shoulders in good shape. And make sure I really externally rotate that left arm. I need to make sure I take my knee out to the side. Externally rotate it also. Bridge up and here. The other option, if that's not an option for you, is the low sweep. So you'll just drag it over. Either way, tailbone to your heel as you're lifting up. Adjust that right leg and up. Left leg goes back. Left knee goes down nice and soft. Right knee comes out. Tailbone to the heel again. And here, tailbone to the heel. Elbow to the mat. Elbow pushes away. Doesn't collapse. Down. That way. Second one. So that's your regular Turkish get up. Second one is the one I call enlightenment. The third one I call coming back to life. I'll explain a little bit why in a minute. See if you can guess. So there's some space here between the bell and me. This one's in the same spot. No hurry. Shoulders are in the right spot. That's what I'm thinking. Up to the palm. Adjust the palm. This time I'm just going to do the low sweep. Now I'm keeping an eye on that top kettlebell. Grab the front one. Adjust the leg. Kip it up. Pause, no rush. Press up. Here, turn that heel out. Down. Here. Step out from the kettlebell. Left goes back. Right leg comes out. Left hand goes down. That wasn't very good. Here and here. Make sure the right knee stays externally rotated. Tailbone to the heel, to the elbow. Elbow pushes away. Let's wait for this one. So, coming back to life. So, that's kind of a couple things. One of them is coming back to life is maybe my favorite Pink Floyd song, and it kind of reminds me of the Undertaker from wrestling. where he just like rises from the dead in the ring. So that's it. That's where it comes from. Coming back to life, the Pink Floyd song, and the Undertaker wrestler. So sometimes in between, I'm not going to get into the full kata I was talking about. I'll just have my hands on my stomach. Thinking about breathing into my lower belly, tantium. Watch it on the inhale. Okay. Inhale, the belly comes up. And just let it push the hands off. I mean, you don't have to do that, but if you want to start really digging into what I'm doing, that stuff is important. So here, so now, right now my elbows are off the ground. They may or may not be depending on where you put the bells. Now I'm going to pull them back towards me a little bit, get them off, get them tilted, and then I'm driving my shoulders to my hips again, curl them up. Same time I rotate, and I'm back at this 45-degree angle. No rush. So, key point, posture, check in with all your joints, your breathing at every stop. Don't rush from one stop to the next. Keep your movements fluid where they're supposed to be fluid, powerful where they're supposed to be powerful. Now, you saw when I had the bells, so I get to, so when I get to, so inhale. This is at the same time I'm pushing my legs, at the same time I'm pushing my arms. And then inhale. Okay. So you can just, some variations, that might be you're here and then back. But to me, that coordinated movement of arm and leg. So. Okay. Should you inhale on the way up or exhale? Probably exhale on that one. Sometimes we'll exhale on the way up, but probably exhale. Okay, and then inhale on the way down. Hold. Okay, so each of these, you'll probably do it pretty automatically. Hold your breath at the right time, but just be conscious. Don't hold your breath for too long. Maybe just a couple seconds through like the most difficult part. So it's like inhale, inhale. So inhale. Just exhale at the end. That's the hardest part, but I want to keep that tension when I'm from here. So I have a lot of tension in here, so I'm holding my breath. So it's probably not going to happen if I just exhale my air too early. Okay. So I think I'll leave it at that. It's about 45 minutes or so. I hope you enjoy, and I appreciate everyone watching, and we have a lot to look forward to. This will be the 8th video, and the response so far has been awesome, and I want a lot more. I want more out of myself. I want more people watching. I want to reach as many people as possible, and that's the whole idea. Get more out of myself by helping other people get more out of themselves. Thanks.